What is our soul's purpose for being here at this particular time in world history? Have you found what you're looking for, what you've come for? Am I the only one that ponders that sort of thing? Nope. Okay, good. Well, I hope not, because that's what we're talking about today, is living with purpose. And if you've been with us all month, you know that we are exploring the book by John DeMartini called The Values Factor and looking at all of the various ways that he talks about our values and things we can do to live our lives according to those. And as I've thought about how to wrap up this series, it's our fifth Sunday talking about it, I decided that there are actually 4 key elements in this book. This is my humble opinion. We'll check in with Lee afterwards. But I came up with 4 key points in the book. The first is to understand what our values are. Now, that was the first Sunday. If you were with us, we ended up with a worksheet at the end of the service to run through those values. And we discovered that they are not the social idealisms that we typically associate with values. Integrity, truth, honesty, things like that. Those are excellent ways of being, the ways to live, where we get along much better as a society when we treat each other that way. However, those things aren't the things that get us out of bed in the morning, right? Typically. Our values are the things that get us out of bed and motivate us to go do and be in the world. Our values drive us to do what we do and to avoid what we don't want to do. Have you ever noticed there's certain things in your life you just don't want to do and you procrastinate and you procrastinate and you procrastinate? Yeah, we all have those things, right? The next item is our life's mission statement. Having that mission statement for our own life. We read our mission statement here every week for this center and what we're about in the world. Do you have one for yourself, for your life? Why are you here? What is your mission? We referenced the book by Lori Beth Jones called The Path. We did a book study on that a couple of years ago, maybe. And in it, she says a good mission statement only has 3 elements to it. Just 3 elements. So anybody can do this. The first one is it's 1 sentence. Simple enough. The second one is it's easily understood by a 12-year-old. Simple, right? Just a simple statement. And the third is you can recite it by memory even under duress, which means it's inherent and part of you. You've just got it. It's not something you have to remember, memorize. It's who you are, and you can restate that. Now, the third thing is DeMartini's method of linking our values to the things that we need to do that are not our core values. Those things we procrastinate on that we were talking about. Yeah. The story that comes to mind is about a spiritual practitioner. This is from his book. And this spiritual practitioner, not in our organization, but in out in the world, loved what he was doing. He loved learning and he loved discovering. And he had a business and he was successful in it. Not hugely successful, but successful in it. And he continued to reinvest his profits in study, books, workshops, seminars, retreats, rather than investing more money into his family. Mama didn't like that value very much because she had children, and she said, those profits need to come to the family so the kids can go to better schools, we can get them into college, provide a better lifestyle. So they were at a bit of an impasse on their values being matched. So they met with John, and John got them to link his value of study and expertise in his field to her value of greater income. For when he became an expert in his field, his income and his wealth would raise. And then he could share more of that with the family. So they were able to link those values together so that she could support him and he could grow and become the expert. And then they prospered together in the future as he became, in fact, the expert in that field. So that's one of the ways that we can link values even in relationship, not just within our own things we don't like to do, but if we're in relationship and we haven't linked up values, we can be at cross purposes or we can find that path. As I said, values drive us to do what we do and to avoid what we don't want to do. And this process of linking helps us to function in a more balanced way. When we only do what we want to do and what we value, a lot of things in our life kind of fall by the wayside. Like in his situation, he didn't value the money for the family, he valued the money for himself. And so there was a disconnect. Are any of those in your life? Somewhere where you've got a value of this and this falls by the wayside. John advises us, link whatever you see as being in the way to being on the way. Then chunk down your necessary action steps into more manageable bites. We've all heard the analogy of, how do you eat an elephant? And it's true. I have a tendency, I don't know if you do, I have a tendency to look at problem situations, opportunities as this big, rather than bringing it down to what one thing can I do today towards that. Because when I look at it this big, I can get overwhelmed and just do nothing, right? Anybody else? So when we can, what does he call it? Chunk it down to the necessary action steps, we can make the whole process more manageable for ourselves. Now, we have reviewed all of that prior. If you've been with us, you've heard. If not, you can go back and watch them on our website. Fourth key point that I want to explore today is obstacles. Obstacles. What is or seems to be getting in the way of you achieving your dreams? In the book, he talks about 7 fears, common fears that usually come up. So let's run through those real quick. The first one is a spiritual authority or rule that you may be violating by pursuing your dreams. Maybe it's a law. Maybe it's something you were taught as a child that's very deep, that still is there holding us back. Maybe we think we're not smart enough. I couldn't possibly do that. No, I'm not smart enough to do that. I don't know enough about it and I don't want to learn. Maybe it is a fear of failure. Many of us have that fear that if I try that and I fail, I can't deal with the failure. Sometimes that can be hidden. The fear of success can be hidden within that we're in fact fearful of being successful. And when we change life, we become successful. Perhaps it's losing or not making money in this deal, and I don't make any money. That's not good. I'm going to lose my money. Or if I invest all this time and then I still don't make any money. So we get caught up in that fear. Maybe it's losing the respect of loved ones. Maybe it's rejection, friends and family, from pursuing your dream. Or maybe it's not having the vitality to do what needs to be done or what we perceive needs to be done. We don't have the looks, the body, or the stamina to achieve this mission that we've set for ourselves. I'm too old, I'm too young, whatever excuses, it bounces around in our head when we think about pursuing something. What is that bounces around in our head? Nearly 2,000 years ago, there was a gentleman by the name of Marcus Aurelius. Anybody heard of him? Yeah, kind of a cool guy and a philosopher. He said the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Said another way, the obstacle is the way. You may have heard that. The obstacle is the way. I first heard this several years ago, and at the time I thought, that doesn't make any sense at all. Problem be the way. It's in the way. Got to solve it, dissolve it, move through it, move around it, move it, do something, right? It's a problem. But as I've used that analogy to address problems and situations in my life, I've come to realize the truth of it. And whatever the obstacle, the way through it is contained within it. So let's look at some stories. The first one is Thomas Edison. Heard of him? Little inventor, lived a long time ago. One night, 1914, his entire research facility and factory burned. Big fire. It burned years of work and millions of dollars of equipment back in the early 1900s. Rather than seeing the fire as a devastating loss, he saw it as a chance for a fresh start. He reportedly said at the time, "Disaster is a blessing. All our mistakes are burned up. Thank God we can start anew." Within weeks, Edison secured funding, rebuilt his facility, and went on to create even greater innovations. He used that obstacle of the fire as a way to start fresh, as a way to wash the blackboard, so to speak, to clear the slate, and to start fresh and new with something new. He's got to create again. He was a great inventor. He shifted his mindset about the problem. Now, I want to contrast that with my ex-husband. When I first met him in 1982, really first met him very, very soon after I met him, on a Sunday afternoon in Dallas, Texas, there was a 5-alarm fire at his manufacturing and research facility. Everything gone, the inventory, the business, everything. Rather than take the Edison approach, he blamed his partner, he blamed the insurance company, and to my knowledge, he never rebuilt another facility. Different mindset. Different mindset. The obstacle was just that. It was an obstacle. And it became a story. It became a story. One more story. You're probably familiar with Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey and her career as a young news anchor in Baltimore. She was demoted from her role as co-anchor because the producers of the news said, "You're too emotional. You're too empathetic. You like stories. You're just not cut out for hard news." Rather than letting this break her, she embraced her storytelling and her empathetic nature, and she interviewed for a talk show, and she got it. And the rest is kind of history, as they say. She went into, that was her first show, by the way. She became a media mogul by embracing that, by not allowing that perceived obstacle that she was told that she was no good at, which her chosen field was, which was news. Imagine if she'd have become a newscaster. Just a newscaster, right? We've never heard of her. She's up in Baltimore at some station up there just broadcasting the hard news. But look what she's done in the world. She embraced her true calling through not allowing this demotion to bring her down and defeat her. So those are examples of the obstacle being the way to move us forward. I would guess most of us have experienced some setbacks in our lives, some obstacles. What have you done with them, and how have you grown through them? The one that came to mind for me as I was writing this was what happened in my early 20s. I was working as a secretary receptionist in an electrical contracting company. I got fired. I didn't like that job. and I wasn't any good at it. But it was still shocking to get fired from a job. It's the first time I'd ever been fired. But what that did for me, like Edison, thank God I can start anew, it launched me into a career in jewelry where I stayed for 10 years. I was very successful there. It was the first time I was introduced to positive life motivational principles. And so my life completely rolled over, turned over at that point. That was the starting point. Had I stayed in that square peg and a round hole thing for me for receptionist secretary and pursued that as career, my life would be completely different. But because of that firing, I was able to start fresh in something new, which then led to that retail career, led to my now nearly 40 years of real estate career. So that's how we can find our way through the obstacles that come before us, rather than allowing it to become just the story of our life. What setbacks and obstacles have you experienced in your life, and what have you done? Have they been doorways to your good? Have they been doorways to your good? Have they become prison walls of limitation? Do you look for silver linings? Do you see obstacles and problems as opportunities? Or do you simply complain and blame others for your bad luck? Those are choices, aren't they? Those are choices we each get to make whenever we're faced with a problem, a challenge, an obstacle. How am I going to deal with this? Am I an Edison or am I the other? Ernest Holmes, the author of The Science of Mind, he says, we should know that even in the obstruction which confronts us, at the very center of it, there is a power that can resolve all obstacles, solve all problems, and meet every emergency. It becomes a question of whether our faith is greater than the obstruction. How strong is your faith? How strong is your faith in you, your abilities, the support of the universe in which you live? How strong is your faith? We are each born into this world with a very unique soul purpose. I have the best seat in the house up here because I can look out and I can see each one of you as individuals and as the wholeness and the oneness that you are. And I know in seeing you as individuals, the individuality of the God expression that you are, and that you've come here with your unique soul's purpose for being here, for expressing spirit in your unique way. And that's the coolest thing. Come up here some Sunday and just peek and look. Kind of cool. Along the path to fulfilling our purpose, we encounter obstacles, both internal and external. Most are internal, aren't they? I mean, we perceive some of them as external, like a fire. But most of them are internal. It's the stuff we do up here. Key to navigating our roadblocks lies in aligning our goals and our highest values. And that's what we've been talking about all month. And that's the keynote of the book that we studied, The Values Factor. When we live in harmony with what matters to us, we activate the divine alchemy within us. There is a divine alchemy that turns even the toughest obstacles into stepping stones of our greater expression, of our authentic selves and our soul's purpose. Your soul's purpose is already within you. You came here with it. You came here with it. And it's just waiting for you to embrace it and give it expression. Let your values be your guide, and even the most difficult paths will become a sacred journey leading you back to yourself. So if you want to learn more about this, You can sign up for Mindful Monday. We send out a newsletter every Monday morning with all of this information in it and the principles that we're going to talk about right now. You can sign up with a QR code or send us an email or in the lobby. All right, your practices. Just a short process this week I'm going to invite you to step into. I call it Accept, Surrender, and Transform. We start with 5 to 10 minutes of quiet meditation and focus on any challenge or obstacle that you may be experiencing without resisting it. Just focus on, okay, here you are. Observe it without any judgment and ask and notice what emotions come up when I think about this challenge. What emotions are coming up? Is it fear? Is it disappointment? Is it anger? Is it resistance? Judgment? What is coming up? Next is acceptance. Say, I accept this moment as it is. I trust that within this obstacle there is wisdom for me. That's a perspective shift, isn't it? There's wisdom for me. Number 3 is surrender. Visualize the obstacle as a flowing river and surrender to the flow and move with it, trusting the process. This is allowing us to surrender to that which is greater than we are, which is the flow of universal energy, the flow of life that is constantly through us as us. And when we can relax and get to that place and just allow ourselves to surrender into that, we can begin to trust the process in which we live. For transformation, ask, if this obstacle is a teacher, what is it guiding me to do next? What is it guiding me to do next? Sometimes asking questions of the obstacles, the pain in our bodies, asking those questions, what are you here to show me? Show me in a way that I can more clearly understand. And finally is gratitude. Becoming grateful for that which we perceive to be an obstacle, because it is in fact the way. Becoming grateful for the obstacle. I trust that all things are working for my highest good. That's a faith builder, isn't it? We talk about the importance of faith. Do you trust that all things are working for your highest good? Use a simple 5-step practice for any challenge, problems, or obstacles that you face, and discover how they are opportunities and stepping stones to your soul's journey of awakening. And now it's your turn. Questions, thoughts about values, mission statement, linking, obstacles, or anything else we've talked about this month about the values factor? Anybody? Nada. All right. Let's pray. Let us pray. So I invite you to bring your awareness fully present in this moment. Take a breath. Oh, and in that breath, we recognize God. It is that simple and that complex. It is all that there is. It is the power and the presence that is in, through, and as all of life. It is universal energy. It is spirit. It is source, God. It doesn't really matter what we call it. We just know that it's all. And that all of it is here now present, in, through, and as each one of us. In, through, and as this room, permeating all that is. There is no place that God is not. It is that infinite, that it can be here and around the world and out in the universe, taking care of everything at the same time. It's that big. Infinite in its nature, infinite in its love and its wisdom. In this moment, we remember our unity there. That we are one in that infinite presence and in that infinite source. We are one in God. a manifestation of it, of the same source that the stars are. Whole, perfect, and complete in this manifestation right here and right now, no matter what. And so knowing that, I speak my word for and about each one of us, knowing, claiming, and accepting completely that we are whole, perfect, and complete in this manifestation. I know that each of us has come here for a divine purpose. And that whether or not we know that in this moment, our soul knows it. And our soul continues to give us hints through desire and curiosities and through the obstacles. For we know that's how we grow and how we expand and how we become more aware of that soul's calling, that whisper. And how blessed we are to be here now in this specific time and space, not 1,000 years ago, but right here now, together in this community, connected in the one and in this the wholeness that we are. I'm just so blessed. And I'm grateful for each and every one of us as blessings in this world, in this community, and as we take this love and joy out into our worlds and the people that we associate with and the expressions that we are. Each of us is a gift. And I'm grateful for that. I know for anyone that has anything on their heart today as they lift it into this prayer, that we as community surround them with our loving consciousness, and that we know that the divine power and action of the law works through their lives, bringing forward into manifestation this prayer for whatever it is. And we receive and accept it with gratitude. As I receive and accept this prayer in gratitude and thanksgiving and release it into the action of law, knowing that it's already done, it's already so. And we affirm that together by saying, and so it is.